This show is sponsored by Alicia's Pillows and Things. Check out the Facebook page, Alicia's Pillows and Things, where you will find home decor you will not be able to resist at prices anybody can afford. Check out the pillows and stools of your favorite sports teams. Maybe you want a set of your kid's favorite cartoon or movie character. You can also get full body and neck pillows as well. Log on to ngscsports.com and go to the Alicia's Pillows and Things tab on the homepage to complete your order. It makes a great gift for Christmas at an affordable price. NGSC Sports. We never stop.
You're listening to NGSC Sports Radio. Hear us live on ngscsports.com, where you can get awesome analysis for all things sport. Or check out our podcasts on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, iTunes, TuneIn, and much more. For our latest videos, head to NGSC Sports YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at NGSC Sports and like us on Facebook. NGSC Sports. We never stop.
I had some old cheap buds in, and I went and found my big headphones, which usually Callie has stolen. But tonight she was nice and left them for me, I guess.
Aw, sweet princess.
Yeah, something like that. Oh, something like that. That little shit.
Something like that. Yeah, so it's goodness. It's all great.
It's gravy, my friend. It's gravy.
Oh, yeah, gravy is...
Gravy! French fries! Back to Canada!
It's like Canadian Thanksgiving, and what better way to celebrate Canadian Thanksgiving than with a double helping of Premier League football, even though Canadian Thanksgiving was like 2 months ago.
Oh, okay. I don't know. You're the one who keeps up with that.
It's fine. Welcome to the Foreign Affair Podcast, definitely not made in Canada. I am Edward Green, joined as always by McCullen Crime, Wes Bradshaw, and we have a dynamite episode for you today. So much Premier League to talk about. We are going to talk about it slightly differently. I thought, with it being 15 matches into the season, figure maybe instead of talking about every match, and don't worry, we will cover the matches because there are some matches we need to talk about, of course. What I thought we could do is take a look at our quote-unquote top six, not the actual top six in the table, and just see how they're doing as we've hit this point in the season. We'll also take a brief look, the briefest of looks, at the FA Cup draw that happened since our last pod. We'll have the news and notes, including two stories that I only briefly teased last week that were on the docket, but I had to save because they are the most Wes Bradshaw stories of all time, and we needed his thoughts on them. So we will get to those as well, don't you worry, as well as Watch 4 and So Raw. As always, podcast is presented by NGSC Sports at ngscsports.com. We never stop. As well as Alicia's Pillows and Things. If you like pillows or things and you're needing one or the other to wrap up your Christmas shopping, we are only the 20 days away from Christmas as the time is recording. Head on over to Alicia's Pillows and Things on Facebook, and maybe you can snag a sweet deal on some cool sports-themed memorabilia and gear. So head on over to Alicia's Pillows and Things on Facebook. That is that, and this is this. Tell me what you want, and I'll tell you what you get away from it. As we modest mouse it up here, please don't sue us. We are going to go now into the Premier League talk. Wes, let's start. We'll start from the bottom of how these teams are ordered right now in the table, and work our way up. And Drake
started from the
damn! All the music.
Jesus, that was a reach back, but
it's my Canadian brethren. I can't believe I didn't get that since he used to.
Jesus, man, that's like your cousin because you're all Canadian cousins.
Yes, Drake's my Canadian cousin.
All Canadians are related. That is the theme of this week's show.
It's just kind of like West Virginia. All right, Manchester United. Let's start with them because they are the Big Six air quotes club. down at the bottom.
Of West Virginia, like.
Yeah, very shoddy right now. Interesting game today. Interesting, not in a good way. No, God, no. It was from a neutral, it was interesting in a good way. But from a United fan, interesting in a very bad way. Manchester United today, in their second match of this period, played Arsenal to a 2-2 draw, needing comeback goals each time. And seemingly just moments after Arsenal scored, the first goal United scored was 4 minutes after a Shakhtar Mustafi goal. Anthony Martial leveled, and then after what is being called a Marcus Rojo own goal in the 68th minute, Jesse Lingard 69'd it up just a moment later and put in a ball to get Manchester United back to 2-2 at Old Trafford. This coming off the heels of their previous day's results from this weekend, where they drew 2-2 to Southampton, and of course needed a comeback victory there, going 2-2 down in the first 2-0 down in the first 20 minutes, and needing goals from Lukaku and Herrera also in the first half to get back. So 2-2 draws. I kind of want to focus a little bit also on this Arsenal match from today, Wes, and we'll talk about Arsenal in a little bit. But United is just poor, and I can't believe they're guaranteed to go through in the Champions League. I can't believe it. But this United side is just still met with controversy. They don't play Pogba today against Arsenal. They don't play Lukaku today either, and rotating as Josie, it's tactical. That's what it was, of course. We've seen Josie throw water bottles. We've talked about him ad nauseum. Where do we feel United are right now, 15 matches into the season?
I feel United are literally walking a razor's edge right now.
Yeah.
On what this season could be, because the wrong run of results could see everything fall apart. They're already on the outside looking in of the top four, which at this point, that's got to be their biggest goal, is to find themselves in the top four. The league is done. They're not winning the league.
No.
And something we'll touch on a little more later. I think you can almost say the league is done if you're not one of two teams at this point.
I would absolutely 100% agree with that.
Yeah, it's basically a 2-horse race, and let's just hope it'll keep going for a while.
Yeah.
But you're looking at United right now. They're 8 points out of fourth.
Mm-hmm.
2 straight losses will pretty much eliminate them from top four contention, and then they have to make a choice. What are we going to do now?
Mm-hmm.
Are we just going to keep on with this season like no big deal, or are we going to try to make a move and see if we can spark something? I think right now the only thing that's keeping Mourinho in this job is the Champions League progression.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think it's going to be really fascinating once we get back to Champions League football. Why wouldn't United put everything into trying to win the Champions League at this point?
Certainly.
Fourth place, and then the way that really the top 5 are playing right now, the top 5 have just separated themselves. 6th place is 8 points back.
Yeah.
United's in a 3-way tie basically for that 6, 7, 8 spot. Everybody's 8 points back.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to come down to those top 5 teams looking for 4 spots. So, to me, what's your idea, United? Your idea has got to be try to go for something, and the Champions League is obviously the biggest prize out there. If they were going out of the Champions League, I think Mourinho would not make it to Christmas, or at least not make it to the New Year. Their league form has just been so up and down poor. And the thing is, it's almost like the big matches United get up for.
Mm-hmm.
And everything else, they just are wretched. As Josie made a point of saying the other day, he doesn't have mad dogs in his midfield. And, today against Arsenal, they were nipping, they were playing a little more of that style that he wanted. And it was a really good result today for United. They may have deserved all 3 points really today against Arsenal. But that said, I mean, Arsenal are just such a better team than United right now.
Yes.
And really nothing's going United's way, that even that chance at 3 points today fell apart. So, you know, Jose Mourinho, I think, is obviously on borrowed time here. I think the only thing that can save Jose Mourinho to be the manager next season of Manchester United is to win the Champions League.
That's a big
ask. That's a huge ask. I mean, yes, they're through, and they're going to be one of the 16 teams left. Damn, man, when you start looking at what's in front of them,
yeah.
I mean, you know, United have some good players. I think it's almost a misconception that, well, you know, it's all Josie because United are loaded. Well, they're loaded at parts, but they have no idea how to put them together. And seriously, at the back, they suck. So, you know, I don't think they have defensive personnel to win the Champions League by any means. And their attacking personnel are so out of sync that it's just not happening. United are a grease fire right now that once again are being held together by literally their shoestrings right now.
I mean, this is, you know, up top they can play Lingard, Martial, and Rashford, who are somewhere in the neighborhood of pretty good to real good players. Somewhere,
all really talented, a ton of potential.
But
I mean, all three of those guys could be great.
But then I'm going to go through the rest of the lineup they fielded today against Arsenal. Matteo Darmian, Ander Herrera, Nemanja Matic, Diego Dalot in only his second start of the season, only second game of the season at all. Marcus Rojo just coming back from injury, Chris Smalling, and Eric Bailly.
And out of that group, Mourinho's literally tried to get rid of. There's 7 of them. Mourinho's tried to get rid of like 5 of them.
Yes.
I mean, Darmian, he desperately tried to get rid of. He's tried to get rid of Smalling. Bailly, he's tried to get rid of. Herrera, he's thought about getting rid of. You know, Matic was like the only guy he brought in out of that group. And Rojo, Jesus God, I forgot Rojo even played for him. I mean, it's poor, man. And, you know, you can look at the big names. So, well, Pogba and Lukaku didn't play, and Sanchez is hurt. And?
Yeah.
Lukaku just went through 700 minutes without scoring a goal. Pogba is like the headline of every week. Pogba is the non-mad dog that Josie was talking about. And Sanchez, Chris Smalling just scored more goals in 2018 than Sanchez did. And he's out for an unforeseen amount of time now, which
at least into next year. Yeah,
is probably a plus for both parties.
not you're not wrong.
I mean, that's the thing. It's probably a good thing for both parties. And oh man, United. I mean, it is the gift that keeps on giving.
Truly. Is
Josie and Manchester United. That said, today I was very happy to see them pull a draw today. Because, I mean, hell, hey, both of us need Arsenal pegged back, so that helped.
Yes.
Thanks, Josie. You guys can play spoiler now.
Oof, that's rough.
Literally, what they have left is just to try to screw everybody over. They'll try to, you know, stop City's undefeated season. They'll try to keep Liverpool from winning the title. They'll try to fuck with everybody, but I mean, at the end of the day, somebody's got to win it, and 3 other teams are going to make the top 4 that aren't Manchester United. So, I mean, at the end of the day, that's all you can be is that little mid-table pest.
Well, let's talk about a team that you just mentioned and whose dreams could be ended by Manchester United later on into the season, and that's the team they played today. That was Arsenal. They are now 5th place in the table, level on points with Chelsea for 4th, who we'll get to in a little bit, only behind on goal differential. Got the 2-2 draw today, had the big 4-2 win over Tottenham in the North London derby this past Sunday. So a pretty big week for them. They also played in the Europa League, which I'm still putting off talking about until we absolutely have to again. But so this is now a run of 20 unbeaten matches for Arsenal. The running theme of not being ahead at halftime. They were down 2-1 against Tottenham at halftime, level 1-1 with United at halftime today. Still that continues. I don't think that's a sustainable model of success for Arsenal that they can keep falling behind in matches and not building earlier leads and praying that they stay late, because as better as this Arsenal side has looked, you can't, once you hit the late point in the season, February, March, and you're starting to get a little more tired, it's harder and harder to make these big comebacks. And that's where Arsenal might start to falter a little bit late at the near the back end of the season. But give a lot of credit to Arsenal too, because this is not a team I think we expected too much of. And the fact that they are now miles ahead of United even after today's draw, even though they looked very bad at times in the back against against Tottenham and against United, still have a lot to do. But I think Arsenal have absolutely bested both of our expectations, and I imagine a lot of other people's as well, Wes.
Oh, yeah. Well, and, I mean, just to toot my own horn a little bit, I mean, when we do go back, I think I actually had Arsenal fourth.
You know what? I can go back right now. So we can check on that.
If you want to check that. I had them in that 4th, 5th discussion, I do believe.
You had them 6th. No, wait, no. Actually, this might be last year's.
Yeah, I feel it was last year's.
Yeah, I'm not sure where you had. I must not have written it down or something. Sorry.
Hold on, we'll have to go back and check that. But
we'll check the tape.
Anyway, I mean, we felt this was an Arsenal squad that I think we felt they would improve just for the fact that they got in Unai Emery and got out Arsene Wenger. Mm-hmm. Because, I mean, we were devastated to see Arsene Wenger leave. That was just horrible for all of us involved. Yeah. Yes, because we're so neutral to Arsenal.
That's true.
And after the way the season began with those back-to-back losses to City and Chelsea, I think everybody's going, oh, it's same old Arsenal. Mm-hmm. Here we go. But the thing is, this is an Arsenal team that has, they found a formula. Mm-hmm. I think it's very interesting that formula includes not playing Mesut Ozil, which I haven't been calling for
what?
Years now, have I?
No, not at all.
Wes Bradshaw has like 9 Mesut Ozil jerseys in his closet? Right. I mean, it's crazy what happens when you suddenly take out a guy who refuses to play any sort of defense and, only plays anyway when he wants to.
Weird.
What Mourinho was calling for the Mad Dogs, that's what Unai Emery has brought to Arsenal. I'm going to tell you, man, in the long term, I'm nervous about Arsenal going forward because this is a team, they can score. Their midfield, especially since Lucas Torreira has been added to it, their midfield has some bite. They're a good, tough midfield. The only thing holding Arsenal back is their defense, I think, is still very, very spotty.
Yeah, I think we saw that today against United, how bad they can still be.
And I mean, and even we saw it against Spurs.
That's true, yeah.
I mean, Spurs had them to the sword. That's more of a Spurs issue. And the fact that Arsenal really did just turn it on in the second half against Spurs and were fantastic in the second half against Spurs. But this is an Arsenal team that I don't think they're any better than 4th place because that defense has goals that they're going to ship. And Bernd Leno's done a good job, but I think Bernd Leno still has a mistake in him. And I think that's what's going to hold Arsenal back. What makes me nervous about Arsenal going forward is, especially if they finish in that top 4 this year and get back into the Champions League, I mean, this team is going to be buoyed to go out and make some signings. And they're going to have to go and make some signings at the back and try to improve that defense. And if they can hit it, I mean, suddenly that turns into a pretty darn good team. Now, they might even still be a few seasons away or a few transfer windows from trying to compete with what right now Tottenham, Liverpool, and City have depth-wise and quality depth-wise. But, I mean, it has – I think it's been a little bit of an accelerated – timeline with Arsenal. Now, as an Arsenal fan, you've got to be thrilled with the form you're in, the 20 consecutive matches without a defeat. But here's the caveat to that. 20 consecutive matches without a defeat, and you're still outside of a Champions League spot.
Yeah, that's true.
Which shows just the absolute strength of the top five this season. And the fact that Chelsea's, quote, coming back to the pack right now, and Arsenal, quote, isn't really that, or I'm sorry, Tottenham, quote, everyone, oh, they're not that good. And Liverpool, quote, hasn't hit their stride yet. And, I mean, all those teams are ahead of them. So, you know, it's going to be difficult now. You know, I was thinking Chelsea were not going to have the season they were having, and that Arsenal were going to be able to sneak into that top four. It looks like Chelsea, I think Chelsea are going to have a little too much. That said, there's some stuff around Chelsea right now. They could be close to imploding themselves, which would be hilarious.
Get to that in a moment.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a moment because I think they'll be next. But Arsenal are they're tough. Which, God, when do we ever say Arsenal were tough?
That's the biggest change under Emery so far.
I mean, seriously, since we've done this show, we have never described Arsenal as a tough team.
No.
But they are. They've got grit. I mean, they come out, they play hard. They try to play to their strengths. And their biggest strength are those guys up front, Aubameyang, Lacazette, who, hey, you remember Lacazette was a huge bust?
Yeah.
Yeah, not so much. You know, sometimes, crazy thing, folks, sometimes it just takes guys a little longer than 2 weeks to settle into a team.
Shocking,
yeah. You know, a guy named Jurgen Klopp kind of proved that last year.
Yeah.
You know, with those busts he signed, Andy Robertson and Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. And this year, of course, the massive busts that are Fabinho and Naby Keita. Yeah. Sometimes you got to, Ed, as I love to say, you got to blood them in.
You got to blood. We've been saying it for 5 years.
It's finally come true. You got to blood them in. Blood fan. Yeah, you got to blood them in. And that's hitting for Arsenal. And, you know, I think one of the biggest questions around that team right now, too, is why the hell are you not getting a contract offer? Yeah. I mean, Aaron Ramsey's playing well. That's a guy you can put right in, and he can help you right now. He'll help you in the future, but that's their issue. I think Ramsey is going to walk for free at the end of the year. And then the big question about him is, what the hell are you going to do with that albatross called Mesut Ozil and his 350,000 pounds a week to sit on the bench?
Somebody's got to take him, right?
Well, but here's the thing. You know, I'm sure you can find a team to take him, but there ain't nobody who's going to take him at $350,000 a week.
Yeah. So
for him to leave, he'd have to take a cut in wages. And at that point, you'll find out what Mesut Ozil's really made of. How bad sweet-ass contract of yours.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, I'm sure there's a team in Italy or Germany or Spain would take him right now. But he's not going to get that. He's not going to get that money. And we know those Arsenal guys up front, that Sanchez Ozil dream team, those guys are all about their Benjamins. Oh, yeah. Or about their Sterling, I guess we'll say. But,
hey, don't bring Raz in this.
God, Raz. I'm going to have to mention Raz. I'm going to have to say something nice about Raz later, and I'm not looking forward to it. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing with Arsenal. There are questions still to be answered, but I think definitely they have exceeded expectations this season.
Well, speaking of a team that had been beating expectations this season, and as you did mention a few minutes ago, might be coming back to the pack just a little bit, is fourth place Chelsea. Right now, they did get a 2-0 victory over Fulham on the weekend. Pedro scoring along with Ruben Loftus-Cheek. Hey, he plays for Chelsea still. So that, interesting victory there. But then they come out today in their weekday match and lay a bit of an egg against Wolves. Loftus-Cheek scoring again for Chelsea, but Wolves finding a pair of goals in the second half. The first from Raul Jimenez, and then 4 minutes later, Diogo Jota putting one in as well to give Wolves a big, historic victory. Their first in 2 months at the Molineux Stadium. So big win for Wolves. Tough loss for Chelsea, but we look at a little bit of their form, and again, yes, they did beat Fulham on the weekend, but before that, on the road, they got pounded by Tottenham just a few weeks ago. They draw Everton 0-0, and Everton's, okay. They drew 2-2 at home against a Manchester United team that was also struggling and needed to come back in that game to get a win there. So this is a Chelsea team that has been starting to dip a little bit. We did talk a little bit when we were doing team reviews for how they had come so far in the season. We talked a lot about Eden Hazard and how he was running really well, and as Eden Hazard goes, sometimes so does Chelsea. Now he started to taper off just a little bit, and we also know that this is a very mercurial team. It wasn't just Josie and Antonio Conte that was the, quote, problem at Chelsea. It's also the group of guys that's there. And so you have to wonder, after the loss at Tottenham, after this loss against Wolves, do things begin to unravel a little bit for Chelsea as they've started to slip down into these 4th, 5th positions here?
Well, the biggest problem for Chelsea, and I think we talked about this, excuse me, Chelsea's biggest issue is the fact that outside of Eden Hazard, there's no established goal scorer.
Is it Ruben Loftus-Cheek?
No, it's not.
Okay.
No, I will quickly tell you, it's not going to be Ruben Loftus-Cheek. That's not. But the thing is, now joking aside, that's not his game.
Okay, well then here's a question for you: should Olivier Giroud be starting more? And I can't believe I'm actually asking that seriously.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, it's not like he's a goal-a-game player either, though. Giroud, to me, Giroud's proven over the years he's a super sub. He's a guy to come on in the 65th minute and get you a header in the 85th minute. That's him. That's his game. This is Giroud, who started every game for France at the World Cup and never scored. So I don't see where Giroud is really the answer to goal scoring needs. No, the answer to your needs is you need another striker. You need to get rid of Morata and find another striker. I would keep Giroud all day and bring him in at the 68th minute.
Okay.
I just don't see Giroud as a viable starter, especially with this team and what their goals are. Giroud is more plan B. It's just the problem is plan A is Morata, and that ain't plan A for shit.
Yeah.
Morata's just one of those guys. I just don't think he can hack it in the Premier League. Send him back to Spain or Italy, I think he'll be fine, and he'll be a good player for someone, but just at the highest levels of English football. And English football, you can say I wouldn't say it's so much better than everybody else by any means, but it is a different game. It's an extremely athletic, fast-paced game. And we've seen over the years, some guys just aren't built for it. I mean, Andrei Shevchenko was maybe the best player in Europe when he went to Chelsea back in the mid-2000s. And he was an absolute flop at Chelsea. Hernan Crespo was a great striker. He was a flop at Chelsea. There have been so many guys who were great strikers, great goal scorers in Spain and in Italy and in Germany, and then they come to the Premier League and they just can't do it. Whether it's mental or whether it's just the physical pace and the toll of the game, some guys just can't do it. But then you've got guys like Troy Deeney who, I wouldn't exactly put him anywhere else and expect much, but, he gets it done in the Premier League. He's built for it. He's made for it. So, we've seen – I think we've seen enough of a sample size now from Morata. Yeah. Where Lacazette has come around this year. Morata has not. Morata may have even regressed.
Yeah.
So, that's Chelsea's biggest problem. But then it's come out, is that Hazard to Real Madrid is pretty much a done deal. For the summer, for being a free transfer, wow. Which means A, Chelsea ain't going to get shit back, and B, Chelsea's just going to lose their best player. And not only their best player by a long stretch at this point.
Yeah.
Especially when you consider Willian and Alexis, or not Alexis, Pedro, I'm sorry. You consider those guys, plus your Morata, plus your Giroud, those guys just aren't – they're on the backside of their career. That's why it's a really interesting connection for Chelsea looking at Christian Pulisic and being one of the big names in for Pulisic, because people, well, Pulisic come right in and play. Well, hell, if he didn't, it wouldn't be long because, they're just getting old.
Yeah.
And they've got to refresh that attack. And, especially if Hazard leaves, I think it's going to get even tougher to refresh that attack because now there ain't shit there for anybody to walk into.
Mm-hmm.
So Chelsea are kind of walking the tightrope, not quite as much as United. And Sarri definitely is not under any pressure at Chelsea right now as manager, but they could be walking a tightrope. They're about to fall off just because Liverpool would be such a massive blow. I don't think there's one player in the Premier League that means more to his team than Hazard means to Chelsea.
I think you're right. Given the overall quality of the team around him, I would agree with that.
Well, because you look at, we talked about earlier in the year, De Bruyne going down, what's this going to mean for City? They didn't lose. Yeah. Liverpool have had guys in and out some this year. It hasn't hurt them. Those teams have the depth. Tottenham are always fighting with an injury up front, it seems like. Whether it be Kane or Son or Lamella or Eriksen, someone, they've been okay. They've been able to they can get through it. You take Hazard out of that Chelsea squad, buddy, it gets real ugly for that crew if you take Hazard out.
Yeah, and that is one reason why I think earlier when you said you predicted earlier this season Arsenal might slip into that top four ahead of Chelsea. I think it could still happen. If Chelsea do start to kind of fall apart, and the talent I just don't think is there to maintain a grind throughout the entire season. And again, Chelsea also in Europa League, and we know how well that goes sometimes. Love the Europa League.
Gotta bring home a trophy.
Absolutely. Might be their only way into the Champions League next year. Tottenham now in third place as we move up. Of course, we already mentioned their match against Arsenal in the North London Derby, falling 4-2 after being up 2-1 at halftime. They come out today against Southampton in the midweek and just thoroughly batter them around. 3-1 is the victory. A late consolation goal from Charlie Austin is all Southampton can muster, as Kane, Son, and Lucas Moura all on the score sheet for Tottenham in the first hour of play. This is a match where I guess Tottenham could have felt some effects. They've played 3 big matches in a row. They had the match at home against Chelsea. Then in midweek, they have Inter at home to try and maintain some hold on a Champions League season. And then they have Arsenal, the letdown there, and now they have to come out and try to get up for Southampton. And they did. And I think that deserves a lot of credit for a team that hasn't been super consistent this year yet in terms of how well they play. And we've seen a couple times, I believe, against Watford, and maybe 1 or 2 more times where they just don't come out fully firing. That didn't happen today against Southampton. Southampton had a couple big chances, but they never capitalized on them, and just about every chance Tottenham had, they capitalized on it very well. So I give Tottenham a lot of credit for bouncing back. Still don't think they're anywhere at their best yet, but they're starting to get more healthy. Danny Rose and Kieran Trippier back in the 11 today. Vertonghen coming back, got a nice day off after picking up a red card in the North London Derby. So already got that suspension taken care of, so he's back for this weekend. Very smart man, knowing he was already going to get off in rotation this week. But, Alderweireld is still there. Juan Foyth has started to step up. This team is starting to maybe round into form even after the somewhat poor performance in the second half at the Emirates. So right now, and I'll cap my thoughts with this, I do believe that we have started to hit a stratus point of there's a top 2 in the league, there is then a next 3, and then there's like 10 teams who are in the mid-table right now. And I will say out of those 3 teams, Chelsea, Arsenal, and Tottenham, North London Derby aside, I think Tottenham is not head and shoulders, but a head above both of those other 2 teams.
Excuse me.
You're fine.
To me, the biggest thing Tottenham have to do going forward is Tottenham have to find a way to control some results.
Sure.
And I say that as in Folks, there is one team in this league that has not, and that is Tottenham Hotspur. 15 matches, 11 wins, 4 no draws. And, you might be sitting home going, yes. Folks, do you know how hard it is not to draw a soccer match?
It's very hard.
I mean, there are teams who set up to play 0-0. And somehow Tottenham has not found any of them. And unfortunately for them, a few of those losses, if they turn those into draws, they're in a stronger position going forward. And I think that's something that they just need to kind of work at is, sometimes you just get into a situation where you're not going to win a match. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you need to worry about not losing a match. Mm-hmm. And I think that's kind of hit Tottenham a few times this year. But, I mean, that is to me, that's a minor defect, mm-hmm. I would say. With Tottenham, you still do somewhat get the heckle. Wait a minute, how do I want to say Heckle and Jekyll?
Heckle and Jide?
Jekyll and Hyde. I don't think either of us got it right. Shuck and jive. Shuck and jive. There you go. You still get that Jekyll and Hyde thing from mm-hmm. Tottenham everywhere, from Tottenham, where, you look at those two teams above them right now, and you basically 9 times out of 10 know what you're going to get from City. Mm-hmm. And 9 times out of 10, we figured out we're going to get from this year. It's not what we expected, but it's kind of what we're getting. Where with Tottenham is just a team that can go from these epic highs mm-hmm. to, oh, God, we don't want to be here this week. and Tottenham seem to have this thing where they switch off a little too often. But here's the thing. They're so fucking talented.
Yeah.
And they can play such sumptuous football that you can be the most pissed off human being in the world, Tottenham. Next week, you're in love again. Mm-hmm. And that's Tottenham football this year. And if they can just kind of get control over those matches, show up and they're just unbelievably flat. Mm-hmm. If they can just find themselves a level from that, you don't have to be world beaters every week. But you've got to at least find that balance where it's like, okay, look, we're not scoring 5 goals a day, but we need to get 2. Mm-hmm. And you know what? We've already given 1 up, and, we're not looking great at the Lloris just does shit sometimes. But we need to figure out how to walk out of here at 2-2 instead of trying to open it up and force it so much that we lose 4-2. Mm-hmm. I saw a wee bit, and I hate to say this, because this is a team that has obviously grown up and they've gotten more mature, but I saw a little bit of naivete the other day against Arsenal. Mm-hmm. It's like suddenly when things started going against them, they couldn't slow it down. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the biggest thing to me that's keeping them out of the title race this year. Now, they're definitely nailed on in that top 4 race. And if you ask me, they are the 3rd best team. But that's what's kind of keeping them from taking maybe that next step. Mm-hmm. But that's it. I mean, when you start going down that roster, God, it's just fantastic talent, man. I mean, when you've got a Harry Kane up front, and you've got a Heung-min Son, and you've got Christian Eriksen, and you've got those guys, and you've got the potential to dominate a midfield everywhere. Mm-hmm. I mean, the potential is there for Tottenham to, pull themselves away even from the Chelsea Arsenal group.
Sure, absolutely. And, when you look back at not a couple, because they've only had 4 losses this year, but, they have the weird 2-1 loss at Watford, the 2-1 loss at home against Liverpool, which, even though they didn't play super well, could have almost been a draw. The 1-0 loss at home to Manchester City, which I think a lot of teams would actually take at this point in the season. And then last week's North London derby. So they haven't even gotten blown out a lot except for this Arsenal match. They just, as you said, it did kind of start to snowball in that second half, and Tottenham just couldn't get control of it. But again, that is why I do give them a little bit of credit for coming out as they did against Southampton today, because they could have come out a bit punch drunk, and they came out and just took care of business. And I think that's a little bit of what we need to see from Spurs going forward is, okay, you took a punch, and now 3 days later you have to play again. Not against great competition. Nobody's saying Southampton's good, but they did get a decisive victory today. So now let's talk about the top two, clearing away the top two in the Premier League so far this season. And we'll start with Liverpool. An interesting pair of matches. Today's match, where at the hour mark, I was about to text you, oh man, it's that weekday match at Burnley on the road that comes to bite Liverpool again. And then things went okay.
Is Burnley the new cold weekday night at Stoke?
Yes, it is.
Cold weekday night at Turf Moor.
Pour one out for Mark Hughes. We'll get to that later. And hey, Burnley, give Burnley credit. The last minute of that match, they had a chance to actually pick up a draw. But hey, because Liverpool has a competent goalkeeper now, they didn't, and they were able to turn around and get the 3-1 victory. But of course, the big match of their week was the Merseyside derby, which they haven't lost, I believe, since, I don't know, who do the young kids like these days? Ariana Grande. Since Ariana Grande has been alive, they haven't lost at home.
Now, Ed, you know, speaking of Ariana Grande, I mean, you know, I enjoy a good tune every now and then.
I know you do.
I enjoy a good tune, and Ed, I have a tune that can historically help people who don't remember the last time that Everton won at Anfield. It can help them remember. Ed, would you like to hear my tune?
I don't see that I have a choice, but sure, go ahead.
You don't have a choice. Now, you may have heard a very before, but this one. You haven't won at Anfield. You haven't won at Anfield. You haven't won at Anfield. Since 1999. Since 1999. That's right, folks. The Clinton administration was in house the last time Everton won at Anfield. Man. And it just gets better by the year. Because now we just get off at ripping their hearts out of their chest.
Yeah. Oh boy. When Divock Origi, 2 minutes into the extra 2 minutes after the 4 minutes of stoppage time were played, finally nets Liverpool their lone goal of the match, but what a goal it was. The 10,000-pound goal, I'm going to call it, because that's how much Klopp had to pay for it. But Liverpool gets...
He would gladly pay it again.
I'm sure he will. He'll try to control himself, though. I'm sure he will. Liverpool getting the 1-0 victory over Everton. So... It's so weird, Wes, because there's a lot of times I've looked at Liverpool this year, and I don't see them as this strong, dominating, swashbuckling team. And then I look at the table, and I see a 0 in the loss column for them. And you made a little bit of a reference to this earlier in the pod. It's not really the Liverpool we expected to see, but it's the Liverpool we probably expected to get the results that they have. So it's been a very winding, different road than it took to get here, but the destination was what we expected. So, I as you mentioned earlier, Liverpool's going to round into form eventually, I guess. And when they do, they'll be great. I just hope that once they do round into form, they're still within striking distance of City like they are now.
Right. So many things to hit here. Just starting off with what we were talking about, the form. We expected, after last season, that pressing, pushing, swashbuckling style where Liverpool, with all this great attacking talent and the improvements made in midfield, oh my God, who was going to keep Liverpool from scoring 5 a match?
Everybody, apparently.
Well, yeah, apparently everybody. Liverpool, Jurgen Klopp has traded the ultra explosiveness for solidity at the back. The Virgil van Dijk, Joe Gomez partnership, and just within the last 18 months, when would I have ever said Liverpool have the best defense in the Premier League, they have the best center back pairing in the league, and they have the best keeper in the league?
Literally never.
Jesus Christ. I mean, I never thought this was going to be the way we did it, you know. I always thought we were going to have to find a way to win a bunch of 4-3 matches.
Truly a new day.
And instead, now 15 matches in, Liverpool have given up 6 goals in the Premier League season. I mean, it's been just stunning. And then even playing through injuries. You know, today we played Moreno and Joel Matip. Mm-hmm. And started Joe Gomez at right back, and he got hurt. And my God, I'm just terrified. I'm terrified of an MRI for Joe Gomez. Yeah. Just Jesus, pray for us. Pray for us. And Liverpool were fine. You know, they did give up a goal to Burnley, but you know, a quick response. And you know, it turns out fine. 3-1 on the day. They were solid at the back. Early in the season, Liverpool were doing so well at the back that Alisson wasn't really even getting anything to do. Mm-hmm. Well, that has, of course, as we figured would happen, that has started to change some as the season's gone along. The defense is still rock solid, but now, and you saw it these last couple of days. Alisson against Everton was our man of the match. Mm-hmm. A couple of absolutely world-class saves in that match. He has made some phenomenal saves in the last 4 or 5 weeks. And today against Burnley, it's exactly what we wanted. We want a great save and then quickly start the attack going the other way. And that's how our third goal was scored because Alisson started the attack. Liverpool had to spend a pot shit of money to get him. And right now, much like Van Dijk, we spent a pot shit of money to get as well. We got bargains on both of them. They've been worth. I mean, how often do you get players who are worth every freaking penny of a world record transfer? It's true.
Ask United.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, you know, you're talking. I mean, guys who are worth the huge money. I mean, you're talking like Ronaldo. Mm-hmm. And after that, I don't really know because I don't know it's quite as well as he wanted it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, obviously Pogba is Pogba. Yeah. You know, sometimes, you know, Gareth Bale has been good, not great at Real Madrid, but sometimes it just hits. And Klopp has been fantastic in the transfer market. Liverpool have been fantastic in the transfer market under Klopp. And those two are huge reasons why. And those two especially have changed the dynamic of this team. Mm-hmm. It's no longer about having to take chances to try to keep them away from the back. Now it's like, okay, hey, come get us. No problem. We'll sit back and then we'll counter the shit out of you. Mm-hmm. And then, like you said as well, you've got a front three that have not hit stride and are just waiting to counter the shit out of you. We're just not scoring the goals yet. And you've just got to feel with those guys that eventually they're going to start going in. And when they do, it could be, holy shit, here we go. You know, especially if they're not, you know, sacrificing that back solidity for it. You're starting to see the summer signings. Fabinho is starting to play more, and he's looking better and better as he goes. Today was by far the best we've seen of Naby Keita this season. Mm-hmm. He was the man of the match today against Burnley. You're seeing a Liverpool team that they are doing it differently. As we said, it's not what we expected. It's not this high-scoring, you know, free-flowing, fun-loving Liverpool of really the last 6 or 7 years, all the way back to Brendan Rodgers. This is a mature Liverpool team that understands that it's not a sprint. It is a marathon. I think they learned from watching City last season. I think Klopp learned, you know, if I want, you know, I can go for the top 4 every year, and I can probably get there most years because we're good enough. We play a style that will score goals, but we'll just have some nail biters, but we'll never win the league. Mm-hmm. I think Klopp decided we want to win the Premier League. We've got to look at what City did, which is win the marathon. Mm-hmm. And Liverpool right now look like they are 100% in this and should continue to be in this, because attacks come and go at times. But if you are solid defensively, if you have great goalkeeping, that doesn't just go away. Mm-hmm. That is easier to maintain because it's guys just doing their job, and it's not so much how the ball falls in front of you sometimes. Through 15 matches, Liverpool, all those league titles, 18 league titles this is their highest ever point total through 15 matches. 39 points. The only reason Liverpool are not on a historic pace is because, by God, City's on a
crazy
historic pace. I mean, and that's what's so damn crazy about the Premier League is, we've seen where one team can run away with it and have a massive season. We've seen it the last 2 years with Chelsea and City, but neither of those years did either of them really have a contender. And here we are into December, and you've got two still undefeated teams that are on just a massive rate of picking up points this season. If they can continue it, January 2nd, hold on, look at my calendar really quickly. January 3rd.
Yeah.
January 3rd.
Yes.
At the Etihad, Liverpool, Manchester United.
3 p.m. start.
Yeah, 3 p.m. I mean, it's delicious. Right there, It's your prime time. I mean, it's the one. That potentially will be the biggest match of the season in the Premier League. Liverpool have had a hoodoo over City for a long time at Anfield as well. But Liverpool are one team that Liverpool are not intimidated to go to the Etihad. I mean, we saw it last year in the Champions League. We've seen it in the past. Liverpool have no problem going to the Etihad and play. And that, if Liverpool are still sitting relatively in the same spot, which let's say 3 points or less, that could be the title decider.
Quite possibly, yeah.
I mean, with just the pace that both these teams are putting up, that could be, well, let's put it this way. It might not win Liverpool, but it could certainly win City the title.
Yeah.
With the pace they're putting up. Because I think if Liverpool get outside of that one game striking distance on City, it could start to get away from them. It's just because City are showing no signs of slowing down. Now that said, and here's the thing, you've got to assume, because this is just how it typically happens. Sooner or later, Liverpool and City are going to lose. Someone's going to go through a 3 or 4 game stretch where shit ain't working. Who can pull a draw out of a couple of those matches? Who can win an ugly one without losing the plot of the entire season? Will it be City? Will it be Liverpool? It is going to be a fascinating. Now, of course, we got to get through December.
Yeah.
December's so big because there's so many fucking games in December. But if you get through December and it is a title race come January, we could see that title race go down to the line, which would be fantastic because we just haven't seen that forever in the Premier League.
I know, and let's talk about that other team, Wes, as we wrap up our Premier League coverage. Man City, a little bit of a scare yesterday as Watford pulled to within 1 against them at Vicarage Road, but City held on to their 2-1 lead. And then on the weekend, as I'm pulling it up here, as my internet begins to act very, very, very slow.
The internet. Oh, this weekend is Chelsea City.
No, the past weekend. When they played Bournemouth.
Crap.
That's right.
They play Arsenal this weekend?
No, they played Bournemouth. We played Arsenal.
I thought Liverpool played Bournemouth this week.
I'm talking about the past weekend. We're
okay.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. I thought you were looking at.
No, we'll look ahead in a minute, a little bit after we talk about City.
I get so excited.
I know, it's so much fun. Manchester City did also beat Bournemouth 3-1, a match I thought Bournemouth could give them a little bit of trouble. Bournemouth did go into the half at 1-1 after a Callum Wilson goal in the 44th minute. Did look like Bournemouth had actually grown into the game and was starting to give City some problems. And, I mean, Bournemouth is going to give teams problems this year. They're just that good up front. But City just ended up overpowering them with goals from Sterling and Gundogan towards the end of the game. And City comes out with 3-1 win, so another perfect 6-point stretch for them. As you said, Wes, this is a train that is just firing on all cylinders right now. They, at the beginning of the season, we thought, well, there's no way they can actually, get on that 100-point pace again. And, they might be doing that again.
Well, and they're not. They're actually on a better path.
Yeah, so we were right, I guess. They do have Chelsea coming up. They do have Everton coming up for what that's worth in this big holiday period. Then Palace City, Southampton, and as you mentioned, of course, on January 3rd, they do have Liverpool. But West, they have, for the most part, been blowing out teams, especially in the Premier League. Up to this Watford 2-1 victory, it was Bournemouth 3-1, West Ham 4-0, United 3-1, Southampton 6-1, Tottenham 1-0, Burnley 5-0. And then the original draw at Anfield against Liverpool. Now, the Champions League hasn't gone perfectly for them. Lyon has apparently found this magical formula that Liverpool found. But other than that, this seems like a team that just has so many weapons, offensive, defensive, you name it, they have an answer. And I'm very scared that what you said is right, that if City win that match on January 3rd, that's it. That's the league, and that there's no way to catch up to them. So this is something we've seen dominant teams before in the Premier League. I don't think any of them were this strong.
No, they weren't. I mean, we've seen. I mean, God, even the Chelsea, or not the great Chelsea teams weren't this strong. The whole, Arsenal as the Invincibles weren't putting it up like this. I mean, it's crazy. The great United teams putting it up like this. I mean, this is as much as we don't like it in the moment because our teams are behind them. I mean, we are seeing greatness from City in the league. We're seeing greatness from them. And, yeah, they've spent a lot of money. This is the most expensively assembled team of all time. We know that. And that's one thing for them to hang their hats on. But at the same time, Pep Guardiola, who everyone knows here, I'm not the Pep Guardiola fan in the world. I think Pep Guardiola, his first season in England when they finished third, I think he took the lessons to heart. And, he took those lessons and he has made himself, he's evolved as a manager. As I said earlier, I think Jurgen Klopp's doing the same thing. They're taking the lessons of disappointment past to heart, and they have richly improved their squads. Now it helps for City when you can just put phenomenal player after phenomenal player.
Oh, sure.
Out there, no matter who's injured. I mean, Kevin De Bruyne, arguably the best player in the Premier League last year. I say arguably because Mo Salah won the award and everybody argued. So, it should have been De Bruyne. Well, I mean, this season, I'm not taking anything away from the greatness of Kevin De Bruyne, but after a couple games, I kind of forgot that Kevin De Bruyne was gone.
Yeah, I agree with that, yes.
I mean, it was just, okay, he's not here. Well, Bernardo Silva's really fucking good. Ryan Mahrez is really fucking good. And suddenly it's like, okay, I mean, they did not miss a beat without Kevin De Bruyne. And now he's coming back, and it's just like, oh, yeah, now we get to throw Kevin De Bruyne back.
Yeah.
Shit. What the hell, man? So, I mean, that's just what City have going in their favor right now. And add on to it the fact that their players, a lot of their players, their younger players are getting better. Aymeric Laporte, his second season here in England, he's looking a whole much better player. I mean, this is a guy who, he's making his case to start for the French team now. France have Umtiti and Varane as their starting center backs, and suddenly Laporte's like, fuck that, man, let me in, I can play. I mentioned it earlier, I was going to have to say nice things about him. Raheem Sterling.
Pretty good.
As long as he's not playing at Anfield.
Yeah.
Damn, Raheem Sterling's getting it. We said last year we kind of were like, oh, well, cheap goals, and they were. And he still is to an extent, but then at the same time, he's getting in the right place, and he's there to get he's there to put in the back of the net. And sometimes that's just what you need. You see somebody who put the ball in the back of the net. And Raheem Sterling's turned into a striker kind of before our eyes. And here's the thing. I mean, it's nice when you can have Gabriel Jesus and be like, oh, well, he play too much. Because suddenly Kun Aguero, who you've written off, oh, well, Aguero's times. No, he's good. Yeah. He's still better than just about everybody.
Yeah.
You brought in Mahrez, who's playing not so much a bit part, but, I mean, he's certainly not playing the part that we saw him play at Leicester. I mean, it's an incredibly put together team. And I don't think they're getting quite the press that they got last year.
Mm-hmm.
Because, of course, last year at this time they were running away with the league. Man, they're just as good, if not better, this year.
Absolutely.
And it is super impressive. I personally, as you folks know, I'm hoping to catch them, obviously. But, what they're doing is special. For them, the next step, obviously, is the Champions League. They've already qualified for the knockout stages, which was bare minimum for them this year, get the knockout stages, bare minimum. Fully expected to get there, as it well should be. And they're there. Lyon gave them shoes. That said, Lyon looks like the next great continental team that's going to get picked and pecked by everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to say that, but, they look where they've got half a dozen guys who within 2 years are not going to be playing for Lyon. And they're going to be in the Premier League or Spain or Italy. So, enjoy it while you can, down the Lyon fans. But, I mean, for City, they're doing exactly what they were supposed to do, plus a little more, if you ask me. Just with the whole fact about losing De Bruyne, I'm super impressed with City this year.
Absolutely. It's impossible not to be at this point, and the job they have done. And they are in that 2-team race right now, and they do just seem to have just a slight edge over Liverpool. But if they can each survive the gauntlet up to January 3rd, that is going to be one hell of a match coming up at 3 p.m. Eastern that day. But we, again, have a long ways to go until we get there. This week and coming up, your schedule looks like this. On Saturday, 7:30 a.m., it's Bournemouth versus Liverpool. Tricky match. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh yeah, that's one to let's see what the 2018 version of Liverpool.
Yes.
Let's see what they do here, because in the past this is a 4-4 match in the past.
Yes, we'll see. At 10 a.m. you also get Arsenal versus Huddersfield, United versus Fulham. Boy, that has to be a win for them. West Ham versus Palace, Burnley versus Brighton and Hove, Cardiff versus Southampton, and then at 12:30 you get Chelsea versus Man City. Let's see if Chelsea can regroup a little bit at home at Stamford Bridge, maybe hand City their first loss of the season. And then at 2:45 at the KP, it's Leicester versus Tottenham. Those also tend to be kind of exciting adventures. At 11 a.m. on Sunday, your only match on Sunday, Newcastle hosts Wolves. And then on Monday Night Football on NBC Sports, Everton versus Watford. And, of course, the Champions League is also back next week, where we play the final matches of the group stage there.
Can I throw one thing in? Since we've really concentrated on the Big Six. I'm not going to say the top six, but the Big Six today. I do want to throw one thing out for that team that is in sixth place. Everton Football Club. I'm going to tell you now, I did sing my little ditty earlier. We all enjoyed my ditty. I had to give everyone the history lesson.
Yes.
And the blue shite cannot beat us at Anfield. We know that. But I'm going to tell you, man, you want to talk about a team, too, that's coming along and is hitting a stride and is figuring some things out. Man, this is maybe the best Everton team in recent memory.
Marco Silva's done really good work there.
And once again, kind of like Unai Emery, you only see them improving. And they're playing an exciting brand of football. This isn't your brother's Everton, where David Moyes was I want to grind it out and we're past that. Marco Silva's playing a fantastic brand of football. This is a team that's had some longtime stalwarts, guys like Leighton Baines, Phil Jagielka, guys like that who Silva has had to phase out and bring in younger talent, and now you're seeing guys like Jerry Mina, a couple other guys. Bernard is in there, and this is a group now that suddenly this is definitely not the Sam Allardyce Everton.
No, God no.
This is an Everton team that suddenly has some hope that things are looking up for. Europa could be calling, which take that for what it's worth. But this is an Everton team that I think going forward, this is a squad that you're not just going to chalk up an automatic win against Everton anymore.
Absolutely not. This is a much improved Everton side from what we thought coming into the season. And as you said, Wes, they do sit in sixth place as we run down the table. Man City is in first place over Liverpool by 2 points. Then it's a 6-point gap to Tottenham in third. Chelsea and Arsenal are joint in fourth, separated by a goal differential. Then it's that 8-point gap to Everton, Bournemouth, and Man United at 23 points apiece. As we look at the bottom of your heart, the relegation zone, Huddersfield right now just on the outside. It's almost a different team every week, I swear. 10 points they have. 3 teams are at 9. Those are Southampton, Burnley, and Fulham. Those are all in the danger zone right now. But, hey, Cardiff is only 2 points clear. Palace, just 3 points clear. But Newcastle, they have kind of dug themselves a little bit of breathing room. They're 4 points clear, but a lot of teams just really constricted down there for those relegation spots.
And the craziness of all of those teams, who the hell would have thought Burnley would be pulling off this much? You want to talk about not just but shotgunning from the poison chapel.
They're not even in Europa anymore. They're still
exactly. I mean, they didn't even qualify out of the group stage, I guess, of however you want to call it, the qualification stage.
Yeah.
And still it took their toll and has just fucking murdered them. I mean, so much so that Sean Dyche suddenly is getting somewhat on a hot seat there. Which, I mean, a year ago, the guy was basically manager of the year. And now he's on the hot seat. And unfortunately for Burnley, it just doesn't look like it's going to turn around. They're just not good.
It's really bad. They can't score goals. So now we take a quick look at the FA Cup draw here. That starts in January, so yay. A couple notable matches. You have 2, from what I can see here, Prem versus Prem matchups. One is Bournemouth versus Brighton and Hove. The other is Liverpool has to go to Wolves.
Of course. When the hell was the last time we played a non-Premier?
Oh, it's tough. It's so tough.
Thanks a lot, FA. Look, we know the FA hates Liverpool.
Of course.
Because we made our bones being a European team. Fuck the FA. Stupid cup. We'll win it anyway.
Other teams include Arsenal and Tottenham getting hopefully easy draws. Both of them going on the road, but Tottenham will play either Tranmere Rovers from League 2 or Southport from another league that is below that.
Exactly. And we're playing damn Wolves at the Molineux. Jesus.
Arsenal will either play at Blackpool from League 1 or Solihull Moors, which I don't think is a real place, from a team outside of the Football League.
I think they're like a created FIFA.
There you go. That's what it is.
They're a FIFA Ultimate team. Man
City, not quite as lucky. They're playing Championship side Rotherham. And where is United on this list? Who's going to upset United?
Which team had to draw weaklings in United? Who got their bye?
Oh, United gets a home match against Reading. So there you go. Good for you. Good shit.
Watch Reading beat them. I'm calling right now.
There you go. Going out there. All right, let's hit the news and notes. We mentioned pour one out for Mark Hughes earlier. Because he is gone from Southampton and his replacement has already been found and already picked up his first loss, so that's good. Ralph Hasenhutel, I believe I pronounced that right. Thank you.
Good job, Ed. It's not Celtic.
or Ajax.
Or Ajax,
yeah. I said it right that time, just to throw you off. Comes over from Leipzig to join Southampton. Obviously put in some great work at Red Bull, really brought them up last year and had some really strong performances. So we'll have to see if he's able to keep them out of the relegation zone. but that was not the only managerial hire of the week. Greg Berhalter is going to be the next USMNT coach. Took him a year to get to the choice everybody thought they were going to make last December. Here we are in 2018, and it's exactly what we thought it was going to be. Hey, Greg Berhalter might be good.
Columbus Crew season was more important than the men's now.
Yeah, hey, save the crew.
I would like to go ahead and submit for approval that Bear shall henceforth. He's Big Bear.
Big old cuddly Bear Hunter. So he's gonna come in. Only 2 candidates were interviewed in this year. The other one was FC Dallas coach, because of course it was Oscar Pereira.
So none of them were Tata Martino, huh?
No.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
So
Mexico wins again.
So, yay! I'm sure this MLS coach will do wonders for Team USA.
I'm sure this is the one. Don't worry.
This is the one, guys. Don't worry. He'll get us there.
Because it's worked every other time. So.
And somehow I think less depressing news. I believe we talked about this. Or were you not? I can't remember when this happened now. No, I guess this happened last week, so I guess you weren't live on the pod. The Copa Libertadores final.
God. I wanted to talk about that so bad.
Yeah, let's talk about it now. All I'll say is that it looks like they might be moving this to the Bernabeu over in Madrid. Again, to recap the story, tensions ran high in the second leg of the Copa Libertadores with the 2 Argentina sides, River Plate and Boca Juniors. Shit went down, and now they might have to move the second leg of the final off the continent. That's how bad this was. But Wes, again, I did talk about this a little bit last week when you weren't here, so please, I would love to hear your thoughts on this absolute shit show of a story.
I mean, basically what we're looking at is River Plate and Boca Juniors playing for the biggest prize in South American football. Mm-hmm. And what you folks have to understand is Boca versus River Plate. I mean, this is like Yankees, Red Sox, Cowboys, Redskins, Alabama, Auburn, Ohio State, while adding a nasty, criminal, ultra-violent South American flavor to it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's cute. During Michigan week in Ohio, they cross out all the M letters. You don't say the letter M.
Adorable.
In example, if you were talking about the state of Montana, it would be Montana. Ha ha ha! That's cute. They slit throats in Argentina.
Houses were burned down.
I mean, yes, houses were burned down. People get fucked up over this. Some trees got poisoned after the Alabama. Mm-hmm. Humans got poisoned here. It was a massive shit show from hell. That said, I'm of the opinion that they should try it again and not play this damn game in Spain. Because why? Fuck Spain. Okay. I mean, this is the biggest match in all of South American football. So let's go play it in Spain.
Okay, I'm with you.
No.
I'm with you to the point of they should try to play it and not play it in Spain. I don't think they should play it in Argentina.
But you know me. I like a good shit show sometimes. I like it good.
I'm genuinely worried after what happened to the Boca Juniors and Carlos Tevez. Not that I give a shit about Carlos Tevez. So a player could actually be killed. I'm not even joking when I say that.
No, we're not at this time. I mean, Ed, listen. I've lived through Rocky Mount, Northern Nash. I think we can handle Boca Juniors River Plate. I say bring it to Rocky Mount. Hey, we got Event Center now.
Hey, there you go. I heard it's doing great.
Yeah. From what I understand, even though nobody actually buys tickets to go there, I heard it's doing great. They're having to give everything away for free, and they've already fired the location manager.
When I said I heard it doing great, I have heard literally nothing about it. I've just seen a few pictures.
It's a shit show.
That's so great. I'm so happy.
Yeah, but speaking of shit shows, back to Argentina.
Yes.
Okay, if you don't want to play Argentina, that's fine. But you find somewhere else to play it. I mean, going to Spain? I don't know. It takes. I understand wanting to calm the situation, but it takes too much out in Spain. Who in Spain gives a shit about Boca Juniors and River Plate?
Not many people, I imagine.
I mean,
I imagine that's kind of the point, though.
Yeah, but still, if I was River Plate, and River Plate is playing this under protest, because they're like, wait a minute, we don't want to go to Spain and play this. Because here's my thing: Boca got a home match. Mm-hmm. They got a home match, and now I remember playing. I'm like, wait, my home match is... What the hell is this?
Yes.
So, I mean, to me, there is no good explanation. The best thing would have been to do is to cancel the whole damn thing. Mm-hmm. But, obviously you're not going to do that. But it is truly a shit show down there. And, folks, that is why I love living in America. Because, once again, some trees got poisoned down at Toomer's Corner. Mm-hmm. The Carolina fans talk shit about the Duke fan. They cross out the M's at Michigan Ohio State. The Red Sox and Yankees might have a little clear and brawl once a season. But in baseball, nobody's throwing real punches. Yeah.
Nobody's getting glass in their eye.
No, there's too much money to be lost for anyone to get in a real So, yeah, it's something down there, man. It is a different culture. It is a throwback to the old England hooligan culture, which in Europe has mostly been eradicated out. Mm-hmm. But in South America, brother, that is the wild, wild west.
Yeah.
And it's a bad situation for everyone involved, unfortunately.
Appreciate FIFA trying to step in. Good job, guys.
Yeah, because you guys just fix everything, don't you? Literally, they fix everything.
Real quick, speaking of fixing and,
exactly.
and shit shows.
And other things that are right up west.
No, I don't think we're getting to your story yet. Cameroon has been dropped as the African Cup host just 6 months from the kickoff, according to this article from apnews.com from Gerald Imre and Andrew Jackson Oriada. There's only some stadiums have only been half built, and there's a violent separatist rebellion. So, Cameroon, sorry, won't be able to do it. It's the fourth successive time Africa's top soccer tournament has had to change host country at the last minute. So,
that's mean. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
that's hilarious to me.
It's
the fourth straight time they've had to change it.
It is.
Give it to South Africa every time. Come on.
It is what it is, and we're just gonna move on.
Well, what's the problem? Story. All the Marxist revolutionaries. It's all.
Good job, guys. Once again, soccer.
Thanks a lot, ISIS.
Yeah. All right, so now we're gonna get to the two Wes Bradshaw stories. And the first one is more of a joke story that Wes gets to laugh at, and the second one is one that might just piss Wes off and make him leave the podcast. First one, the headline from this article in The Guardian from Sachin Nakrani says Bournemouth 2, air quote, demanding for dropped Mesut Ozil, says Unai Emery. I'm not reading the rest of this article because fuck it, who cares? That's a great headline. I just, if there was a game to actually, where you need some offensive creativity, hey, Bournemouth, a team that likes to score goals, maybe that'd be a good thing for Ozil to start, getting back into the swing of things. But apparently not. So.
But what you failed to understand there, Arsenal like to stop people from scoring goals this year.
Yeah. They try. Sometimes it doesn't always work, but they try.
Here's the thing. Obviously, this headline means one thing about Unai Emery.
What's that?
That he listens to the podcast.
Yes.
Someone in this world listens to this podcast, and it just happens to be the manager of Arsenal football.
God, he can't like much of the rest of the stuff we say on this podcast, though.
I don't know. I think he listens to us as like, write that down. I mean, Jesus Christ. He's finally said what we've said forever. Yeah. It's too demanding for Mesut Ozil. Mesut Ozil needs to take his ass to Spain or France. France would be preferably perfect. Because Ozil just needs to go to PSG. But, I mean, my God, how embarrassing for Mesut Ozil. And Unai Emery, there is a barrier, at times. And I don't exactly know the context that it was said in. It could have meant,
I can give you the context if you'd like.
Well, go ahead. I mean, did he have an injury that they're saying?
Asked about his decision to drop Ozil, who had started each of Arsenal's previous 4 Premier League games, Emery said, quote, "We thought how we can do better in the match, a very demanding match with physicality and intensity," end quote. Emery added that every player in his squad is important, but resting Ozil after a 2-week break, and with Arsenal's next game being Thursday's Europa League visit to Vorskla Poltava, when the manager is expected to rest a host of first-team players, is odd to say the least, and is, that's my editorializing, The decision is also somewhat damning of Ozil, given Bournemouth are hardly their most rugged of opposition, and will only reopen the debate about the playmaker's long-term future under Arsene Wenger's successor. There you go.
Well, I mean, once again, Unai Emery was stuck with this guy.
Yeah.
I mean, who in their right mind is coming in? Oh, yes!
Yeah.
Shit! Yeehaw! This is why I'm building my team around. No one says that. Who says that? No one says that. Other than maybe somebody playing FIFA 19 or football.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to me, Unai Emery, I love this. If you're not going to be tough, then get the fuck out of here. You're not going to play. If you can't do your job, if you can't defend, you're not going to play. Maybe sometimes you can carry one guy who's not a great defender, who doesn't get back in track. But you certainly can't carry more than one. And also with this high-pressing style that Arsenal wants to play, it's everybody. Everybody's got to. So until Ozil either gets with the program or style, I don't see where there's much of a spot for Mesut Ozil unless it's maybe as a late impact sub if you're chasing a goal.
Yeah.
So, you know what? Fuck you, Mesut Ozil.
Yeah, there you go. Just comes
Unai! There's your next headline. Why do we not play Mesut? Fuck Mesut Ozil. If that happens, I am definitely claiming full on that he was.
That's fine.
He says fuck Mesut Ozil.
That's fine. I hope it happens. We love you, you and I. We don't love your team necessarily, but we love you.
And now, folks, if you're ready to hear me say that 4-letter F word, on to our next time.
Final news and notes story, and again, this is one I had to save from last week because I wanted to talk about it, but I wanted Wes to be here for it. Headline from this article in Bleacher Report from Gianni Verschuren. UEFA reportedly covered up failed Sergio Ramos doping test after the 2017 UCL final. Now, it's very important to note that this was the 2017 final against Atletico Madrid. Over Juventus. Over Juventus, which they won 4-1. Not last season's final against Liverpool. Very, very important to note that. But Wes, I believe we've had strong opinions. If we've had strong opinions of Mesut Ozil, I believe we've also had strong opinions about one Sergio Ramos. So that is what has happened here. Of course, Real Madrid has denied it. Sergio Ramos has denied it. But according to Martin Ziegler on Twitter, he said that he escaped action after the team doctor said he filled in the wrong corticosteroid on the doping form. Yeah, I'm sure that's exactly what happened, Wes. Nothing shady there.
Because that pillar of upstandingness of Sergio Ramos, right?
Yeah, that one.
Fuck Sergio Ramos.
There it is.
And fuck FIFA for covering up for Real Madrid. Because Real Madrid is that's and they cover for him. We know they do. Real Madrid, when it comes to favorable officiating, it comes to favorable everything basically. And here you cover up a doping charge. And you know what? It might have been something as simple as that, but such a track history of Real Madrid seemingly getting away with shit that no one else would. I mean, it's just, so and Ramos got to play.
Well,
if the shoe was on the other foot, if that had happened to Newton, I would have loved to have seen if you had just, oh, yeah, it's cool, go ahead. Because we don't enforce our rules.
I like this one. Per Der Spiegel, Ramos' compliance with doping authorities was again called into question when Real faced Malaga in April. The 32-year-old was asked for a urine sample and told he couldn't shower before providing it. Despite this, he showered in front of the officer, which, one, ew. Two, what the fuck?
Exactly. And there's no responsibility held. Sergio Ramos. We can't possibly hold him to a standard that we hold every other fucking player on.
No, why would we do that?
It's so fucking open.
So dumb. Oh, all right. That's how we're gonna end news and notes. Wes, let's hit the watch for. What have you been watching in the week that was or the week that will be?
We are at fall finale time.
Yeah. Well.
Which is always a cool time because everything's kind of wrapping up, but also setting up. Mm-hmm. A lot of my shows leave me with a fucking cliffhanger. Mm-hmm. Sorry, folks, I'm in an F-word mood tonight. I had a rough day at work today, and I'm getting to take it out tonight in the world of footy. Sorry about that. I'll try to calm down for a minute.
It's fine.
But any fucking way. The Walking Dead fall finale was a holy shit moment. Which, Walking Dead, think of what you will. I think this season has been a really big bounce back season for them. Mm-hmm. Of course, Rick Grimes is gone.
Yeah, gone, but not forgotten.
Gone.
Because you can't forget him because there's movies coming out.
God, I cannot wait for the movies at this point. But look, what season 6 and 7 did to sleep, this season has brought it back, man. We have now been introduced in our finale for the fall to the Whispers, which apparently is a group that, and this is literally what we got in like the last season. They're a group, we thought they were walkers. Apparently they have disguised themselves to walk among the walkers. Mm-hmm. They stitch on zombie faces, basically. And they talk, which is just creepy. And it's creepy as fudge. So, that was awesome. It was a great, oh my God. And we lost one of our main heroes in the last one. Spoiler alert, 3, 2, 1. As the group is trying to escape from the rescue mission at the end, Jesus takes a blade right through the chest. And I was seriously just shocked beyond belief. Jesus is one of those he's kind of like the ninja. Mm-hmm. He's like the really cool, like mellow, laid back ninja guy he's the reluctant leader. But he's that guy who always goes out of the way to help. And that's what he had done. He had stayed behind to help others escape. And one of the Whispers, as it looks like he's just going to kill one last zombie, this Whisper just ducks and comes up behind him and drives a knife through his chest. And that's where you're like, holy crap, what just happened here? Because, the zombies never react to keep coming. And that's when we knew we had something crazy going on. And I love where it left us. It won't be back until February. They don't come back until after the Super Bowl, so they don't have to deal with NFL ratings. Can't blame them for that, So it'll be February before that comes back. From what I heard from my mom, because my mom's my hookup on stuff. The fall finale of SEAL Team took place tonight, actually while we were on the air, and apparently that was, as my mom said, she gave it 3 fire emojis. Oh. So I'm like, Jesus Christ, Lynn knows what straight fire is now. It's scary. Also, the Chicago Fire fall finale happened tonight, which I also have recorded. Mm-hmm. So there's just a lot going on right now. What else did I hit on the fall finale? I can't remember. But I'm happy. Crazy this is happening. And I think in the next week I'm going to have to start a new show just so I can do something during the winter time away. So, yay, I get to try a new show.
Nice. Well, if you're looking for a new show, can I interest you in one I found this past weekend? a little show. I'm 4 episodes through of this season. It's a little show called let me I gotta pull this up here because I actually can't get the full name on my screen. There we go. Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Senpai. Can I interest you in that?
Say that again.
Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Senpai.
Probably not, because that senpai word is weird. And it means it's one of your weird animes.
Oh, it's weirder than you'd think. It deals with yeah. So, what instead I'm going to talk about is Superstore and The Good Place. They are both back tomorrow night on NBC. We're about a month away from Brooklyn Nine-Nine being back on that same network.
Nine-Nine!
Hell yeah. And, hey, Doctor Who, the new season, is coming down to its final episode this Sunday. So, as well as a lot of episodes wrapping up for you, a lot of stuff wrapping up for me. These are actually the last new... actually, no, there is one next week. The last new Superstore and Good Place of this year. And then they'll come back in January. So there will be some more gappage as well coming in that hopefully Bunny Senpai can fill. Don't watch the show because then that just gets weird. All right, so speaking of weird though, Wes, are we getting so raw tonight?
We are. Ed, I've been... What is that damn dog barking at? I've been contemplating recently, Ed, with all that's actually going on in the world of wrestling, and as shitty as WWE's been, which by the way, this past week, this past Monday, WWE suffered some of their lowest ever ratings on Monday night. And it's because, I'm sorry, the product's garbage at the moment.
Yeah.
So, Ed, I'm thinking of taking this So Raw segment and instead of just breaking down week-to-week WWE storylines, making it more, the news that's going on around the wrestling world.
Okay.
And hey, if we do get something awesome that happens on Raw, we more into the, hey, here's what's going on. This is cool. This is big and shocking. I mean, if we have some title changes or something like that, we'll bring it up. But I think we're gonna make So Raw a little more now, weekly little wrestling sports page. Right. And this week we're going to start off, unfortunately, under some very sad circumstances. And this is going to be your main story for the week because I haven't watched Raw or SmackDown, unfortunately, time restraints. Today, Tom Billington, known during the 1980s, early 1990s as the Dynamite Kid, passed away today at the age of 60. This one kind of hit me hard because I was growing up. One of my first experiences watching at that time the WWE was watching. I believe it was WrestleMania 3, which was Hogan and Andre in the Silverdome, and of course Hogan and Andre was awesome, and of course Steamboat and Randy Savage was still to this day maybe the most amazing WrestleMania. But there was this tag team that just absolutely grabbed me, and they were the British Bulldog. And they had everything I liked. They had a dog. They had a bulldog that they brought to the ring, Matilda the Bulldog. Out of the British Bulldogs, the casual fan, the guy who won singles wrestler, the British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith, was a member of the Hart family, tragically passed away in the early 2000s. Had time as the champion, had a run in WCW. Yeah, everybody kind of remembers the British Bulldog. The wrestling connoisseur remembers that his partner, the Dynamite Kid, was at the time maybe the most... He was that guy who in his time was maybe the most advanced wrestler in the world, where he was doing things that 15 years later, people were like, oh, yeah, this is what it should be. He was the high flyer who could mix the psychology. He could do the wrestling, but he would go to the top rope. He would do all the crazy things. Dynamite Kid was, at the time, maybe the best wrestler. He and Steamboat and Savage, maybe the best wrestlers in WWF. If maybe not the world at that time. That's putting them in a Flair, some of the Japanese guys. I mean, he was that damn good. His matches with Tiger Mask in Japan when he was with All Japan are just like, to this day, still these legendary matches. Dynamite had a lot of physical medical problems based on his style of wrestling because he was a smaller flyer who wrestled like a heavyweight, and it just tore his body up. Also added to, everybody was doing steroids and everybody was getting hammered and doing coke all the time. And Dynamite was no different. Body really failed him later in his life. His final match was in 1997, I believe. And after that match, within a month, he was confined to a wheelchair for the rest of his life. Had some real mental issues after having a stroke in 2013, suffered from mental issues, and, kind of lived his life out in England in a nursing home, which was a really sad way to see this guy who was this premier athlete. Kind of a sad way to see him go out. But he's getting the tributes that he deserves. There's been talk for years, why aren't the British Bulldogs in the Hall of Fame? One reason was because Dynamite Kid was still alive, and it's always kind of been said that, after Dynamite's gone, they'll put him in the Hall of Fame. So I'm wondering, with WrestleMania coming up in the next, 4 or 5 months, is that going to be something that happens? Are we going to see the British Bulldogs go into the WWE Hall of Fame, which I think they richly deserve? I mean, they were one of the tag teams of the 80s. And once again, Dynamite Kid, he was innovative. He was ahead of his time. He was one of my favorite guys I ever got to watch. And that's why So Raw this week. I just wanted to talk a little about Dynamite, give him a little background, just kind of give him that little eulogy there at the because now he's up in heaven with. And by God, the ribs they're pulling are probably in.
There you go. Well, not a great way to end the show, but a very a nice eulogy for him here on the Foreign Affair podcast. That is going to do it for us here for episode 239. Once again, big thanks to NGSC Sports as well as Alicia's Pillows and Things. You can find them on Facebook. You can also find us on Facebook, but you can also find us as a collective on Twitter. We are at AFA Pod. Wes, you are?
I'm at Wes Bradshaw 21.
I'm at Edward Green. You can find us again on Facebook, Instagram, as well as YouTube via our parent show, The All New Sports Show. You can also email us at the address allnewsportshow@gmail.com. Big thanks to our podcast providers, including Podbean.com, Stitcher, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, the TuneIn Radio app, Google Play Music Store, and iTunes Music, or wherever great podcasts can be provided. I actually had to do that bit last night. Our great friend of the show, one named producer Jackie, and I were talking with her brother last night, and his girlfriend asked where can she find our podcast, and the only way I knew how to describe it was by doing that spiel. And the reaction I got was, you don't actually have to pimp your podcast, right? Well, yes, we do. We always have to pimp our podcast because it deserves to be listened to by more people or less. I can't really decide.
Because Exhibit pimped rides, why can't we pimp?
It's a true story. An Exhibit is definitely not bankrupt. So big thanks to all our podcast providers. Again, we will be back next week with, I believe, are we planning on doing live podcast?
Yeah. Well, maybe. We'll have to.
Okay.
But yeah, right now I'm planning to head Tuesday to watch Napoli and Liverpool.
Well, that sounds like a fun time.
So it would be a Tuesday live pod.
Mm-hmm.
Just throw in like a Wednesday.
Yeah.
Champions League.
Exactly, because there'll be big Champions League action coming on. There is a weekend of Prem action. Big match of the week is Chelsea versus Manchester City. That is this Saturday in the big 12 o'clock slot. So check that out. We'll be back next week for the other stuff. But Wes, before we get out of here, anything else you'd like to add?
Hey, high school football is quickly coming to an end, and we have a team left in this area at Green. That team is, big shocker, the Tarboro Vikings.
Oh, no.
28-0 winners over North Stanley a week ago. North Stanley team with 3 Division I guys on it.
Oh, God.
And they just were absolutely dominated by Tarboro. Even though I'll give North Stanley credit, they're the first team that I've seen that held Tarboro from the big runs this past week.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, what did Tarboro do? They just took their 4 yards of carry.
Yeah.
And ground out first downs and then had like 6-yard touchdown runs.
Yeah.
They do what Tarboro does, which is, grind you until you can't stand anymore, and then they just pound you.
Crazy.
So, yeah, man, it's awesome. Tarboro's left. Southwest Edgecombe got rolled by North Davidson.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man. So it's coming down the end. A rematch of last year's Eatonton homes in Tarboro. Tarboro barely squeaking by last year, 50-7. So I'm trying to expect more of the same this week. Tarboro just sort of crazy when you start looking at Tarboro's stats, because this team is just ultra dominant. Mm-hmm. And then their leading rusher has less than 800 yards rushing on them. Wow. But the thing is, they've got like 5 guys between 4.
Right.
And the thing is, they only played the first half of all their games all year. That's the thing. I don't think they have anyone who has 70 carries on the year. Wow. 70 carries. They don't have anyone with 70 carries this year.
Wow.
Where, there are running backs, in other places who get 70 carries in about 2 or 3 games.
Yeah.
This is like game 14 coming up for them, and they don't have anyone with 70 carries. Spread it out so evenly. And they've just got 5 or 6 guys who can just go.
This
it's
so
crazy.
Dominant.
Yeah.
So damn dominant. Well, that is what the Tarboro Vikings have been doing, and I'm sure that next week, Wes Bradshaw and I will be able to talk about what they do on their route to another state championship. But until that,
tell y'all what they do.
There you go. For my call in crime, Wes Bradshaw, I am Edward Green. Thank you so much for joining us here on this week's A Foreign Affair podcast. Until next time, folks, please stay safe and enjoy the football.
Yeah, good night, Premier League. You guys are just something. Giving us 3 matches in a week. We love you.
Yes. I don't know. Like, I love the soccer, but at the same time, I'm like, if we just said, like, hey, League Cup, why don't you not include Premier League teams anymore? And we just spread out the Christmas madness more throughout the year. So it wasn't like this.
And we're sitting here looking at, golly, around the beginning of the year. Thank God, by the way, that they at least moved. Because we were literally looking.
This show is sponsored by Alicia's Pillows and Things. Check out the Facebook page, Alicia's Pillows and Things, where you will find home decor you will not be able to resist at prices anybody can afford. Check out the pillows and stools of your favorite sports teams. Maybe you want a set of your kid's favorite cartoon or movie character. You can also get full body and neck pillows as well. Log on to NGSCsports.com and go to the Alicia's Pillows and Things tab on the homepage to complete your order. It makes a great gift for Christmas at an affordable price. NGSC Sports. We never stop.
You're listening to NGSC Sports Radio. Hear us live on NGSCsports.com, where you can get awesome analysis for all things sport. Or check out our podcasts on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, iTunes, TuneIn, and much more. For our latest videos, head to NGSC Sports YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at NGSC Sports and like us on Facebook. NGSC Sports. We never stop.